Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to our channel, and thanks for logging on. Today, you're looking at what might be the definitive modern Glashutte Original product. You're looking at the PanoMaticInverse, 42mm in stainless steel. You can see and you can purchase this brand-defining timepiece on our website. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you enjoy these videos, and please click on the card in the upper right-hand corner of the screen at any time during this video to see our full sales listing for this watch with additional accessories included in the sale, high-resolution images for your desktop, and naturally complete pricing details for this PanoMaticInverse, a watch that is, quite frankly, almost a postmodern take on Saxon watchmaking, and spectacular for it. Let's talk a little bit about the line and the fit. The line first came out in 2008 at Basel World when the PanoInverse XL debuted. Now I want to say it was 2014 we saw the follow-up with an automatic PanoMaticInverse available for those who prefer to wear their stylish duplex balance invert movement every day. The watch on my wrist is 42mm across the round of the case, my wrist being 16 centimeters in circumference. You get a sense of the fit relative to size. Now the watch is slim. 12.5mm thick means that it is about as thick as a Rolex Submariner, not counting the Cyclops Eye, and it is very compact from lug to lug, to the point that I believe you could wear this 42mm watch securely on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters in circumference. So again, you're looking at 49mm lug to lug, and for those of you who like to strap swaps, 21mm lug spacing. Let's talk about the shape of the lugs, because they have a huge impact on how it fits and how it looks. There are some watches that have the same 49mm lug-to-lug span, but the lugs are arrow straight as they exit the case. So if you're borderline to wear the watch size-wise, those look awkwardly flared out over your wrist. Well, this sort of just drapes itself around. The lugs thin out and disappear. It's a handsome aesthetic. You can see how short the lugs are. They barely project beyond the edge of the case, and they downturn 90 degrees from the case band. You'll also note that you can easily pull the strap straight down around a small wrist, and that's facilitated by a small recess on both sides of the case that allows the strap to move freely without constraints, so it doesn't want to flare out and fight your wrist. The strap is of the highest grade, large rectangular scale alligator leather with a matte finish, bolstering as it approaches the lugs, a folded edge, the monotone stitch, providing a junction with a natural grain calf skin, very supple on the underside. It's a very soft strap, though it's a brand new piece. It feels broken in. High grade leather was specified and carefully chosen. You'll also note that the watch features a substantial folding clasp, double finished with both satin and polish. This not being a pure sports watch, it doesn't need a locking closure mechanism such as triggers or a clamshell. It closes with a reassuring snick and snap, and you'll even note that the exterior is nicely polished on its flank and its bevel, and satin finished and engraved on its top. The case is simple but nicely executed. You'll note the case band as well as the lug flanks are all in a satin or grained finish, and that contrasts nicely with the polish of the case back and the junction with the bezel itself. You'll also note that the bezel is slightly sunken into the plane of the lugs. This is done to give the lugs full form and loft, while at the same time keeping the watch thin. If the bezel weren't sunken below the plane of the lug tops, the watch would be about 0.5 millimeter to 1 millimeter thicker. This is a clever arrangement that lets the watch have full lugs and be relatively slim. You'll also note that the watch features a angled transition from lug to case band. You can see how there's actually some tumble home across the side of the lugs. That makes the junction a little bit more fluid and not as jarring as if it was just a straight vertical line along the case band. It's thoughtfully and well executed. The bezel itself is very subtly double stepped. It's almost a fluid step, as there's not so much a crease as an undulation from the flank to the top, but you can see how that helps to recess the bezel from the case flank and pare down the visual mass of the watch. Now let me move in and get close, because this watch is all about its dial. We've talked about the case, but you'll note that when viewed head-on, the bezel of the case, all of that disappears. The dial is the star. I said this is something of a postmodernist watch, and here's why. Just as postmodernist architecture will feature profiles of Doric columns and Parthenon-like triangular peaks that are only a few inches thick, designed to emulate the look or reference the look without the substance. This watch has a great deal of substance, but the dial almost apes a three-quarter bridge, as you might find on a vintage Saxon pocket watch such as Glashutte Original would have produced from the 19th century to the early 20th century. Now, of course, today, Saxon watchmaking in the wristwatch format also uses that three-quarter plate. It's just unusual to see it inverted and presented presented to you on the front of the watch, you'll note that the watch features that characteristic as well as a dramatic element of modern Saxon watchmaking, which is the fully engraved, in this case, balance bridge, not a single-sided balance cock like you see on most Longa watches. This one has two flanking members for better balance, security against shock and disruption. Each side, the gold showing the engraving through the rhodium on top of the brass. So beautifully executed, no two exactly alike. It is a subtle dial in that the color of it sneaks up on you. You can see the gold of the engravings of the balance, of the engravings in the balance bridge, the blue of the gorgeous kiln-fired, heat-oxidized, not dyed screws. You also note the same tones on the dial, the beautiful violet pivot jewels of the caliber set right into the dial. You'll also note the black calibrations of the time-telling scales, and more subtlety, beautiful pinched alpha style hands with a small amount of lume, and outboard of each applied hour index a little bit of lume to correspond, such that this watch can be viewed in low or no light conditions. Now it does feature a number of refinements, such as hacking seconds, so you can stop the balance and synchronize precisely to a reference time. It also features a quick set date, so unlike many of the Glashutte Original PanoMaticInverse models, which feature a pusher adjuster on their flanks to adjust the date, this one actually features a conventional quick set function for the date. So you simply pull the crown to its intermediate position and then you set the date. Not only easy to do, but also fun. You'll be tempted to roll it through a double-digit changeover every once in a while just to impress friends, and they will be impressed because this is a handsome and distinctly different watch. You can see the decoration includes Glashutte stripes, because we're not in Geneva, we're not in Switzerland, we're not speaking French, these are Glashutte stripes, and an even engine-turned perlage across the base plate. The swan's neck mechanism is the one exception, along with the index holding the regulator pins. You can see it is black polished. Now turn the watch over. There's not as much to see on the case back, but there is some. Same Glashutte stripes across the winding mass, which is skeletonized, and the bridges. You'll also note this access cover right here has been black polished, and likewise it has the violet and the blue medley of pivot jewels and heat blued screws. It's all water resistant to 5 bar or 50 meters. This is a timepiece with immense character and unmistakable lineage. There are many Glashutte Original watches that are handsome, but they are not styling standouts. We don't regard them as milestones from the brand, and no one would pick, for instance, the likes of the Senator Excellence as the only one to own if they needed to own the iconic Geo. Whereas with the PanoInverse and the PanoMaticInverse, with their 42-hour power reserve caliber 9102s right on the dial side, you might actually choose this watch as your only GO, and that would be a sensational choice. A spectacular watch designed to be worn every day and enjoyed likewise. You can see and purchase this one on our website.